Right. So I thought I would do a little bit of a behind the scenes tour of my um, Summit template that I use in Airtable as requested from Kim, wanting to see, I guess, what that could look like for hosting a summit and collecting applications in particular. So thanks for this question, Kim. I will walk you through my database. So this is an entire events management hub. So this is not just a summit collection place. It is also something we could use for bundles, and it's all in one place kind of thing. So because I am hosting multiple summits, I wanted to have a system that would allow me to have people do one expression of interest and then they can be interlinked into the submission forms that they fill out. So rather than having to um, have multiple pieces of data, they're connected to the existing data. So I'll show you what I mean by that. But because this is a like full hub, I can actually go through and use the um, calendar here to manage the summit itself. So I have like all the tasks that are required to be done by the due date, and categorized with different viewpoints. So by due date, by category. So basically, what tasks needs to be done. So if I want to like bulk complete some things, I can go through and do like all the design stuff at once, or I could do all of the copy stuff at one time. And then likewise, I can just look at the things that need to be done pre-event, while the event's live, and post-event. And then again, another view to look at the status. So if we want to just look at what's needed to be done still. If you're using this with a co-worker, a VA or someone, you can have who's responsible for certain tasks as well. So you would just like select the person here. They need to be, obviously part of your workspace, but yeah, you can kind of view it that way too. So then we have our calendar. So looking at the deadlines of when things need to happen. And again, we can also see the Kanban view as well if we want to kind of view it that way. So the big thing that I'm doing here is we are collecting expression of interest for multiple summits, and I will show you the forms in just a moment, but this is how the data is populated. So people will say, you know, we are interested in multiple summits, and they will put their event information in here. And then I will look and see what's, which event they are like we're open to accept applications for, and then what status they are, like as in do I want them and all of that sort of stuff. And I can view it by event as well, and then I can view it by what's open for application. So over here you can see a little bit of a sneak peek of what happens when um, we get the expression of interest and we link it up to the summit's submission. So when someone actually goes ahead and does the second application, the submission, I can then see here that they've submitted that and it's linked to this profile. So let's look at Beck, for example. We have her expression of interest here is this sheet, and there's a few things hidden because they're not necessarily part of this particular view, so we don't need to see them all. But you can also see here, this is the link to another record, and this is her submission form and everything that comes through there. All right, so that's connected to that, which is really important because then it means, people don't have to duplicate certain things. Like if they've already given you their email and their like social handle and website and all that sort of stuff, you're not asking for that again, you're asking for the next thing. So we then have the submissions tab, and this is really a collection of like all of the people, whichever status they're at. So I've got a ton of views here, but some of the main ones that I look at are all submissions, this quick view as well, just to see where people are up to, which is based on the status. So you can filter by status and look at it that way, and then group it by that, sort it by that, like whatever, way you want to do. And then anything that's not empty, this is actually me and my topic information, so they don't need a status. But I could change that, like, once I have, like this one here, for example, these are already episodes that exist. So I can go ahead and change that, and that will then populate down here as part of the, collection of episodes that are published in Hello Audio, because it's an audio summit. So that's the quick view. All submissions are everything that's come in, and then I connect them to certain views, I guess. And then we have the current month and what's coming in there. So like my current summit, and I have the summit, and then we have an implementation, which is essentially like the all access pass. Like what are we including in there? So I can see that, and I can put like a date that it's published on, because this was like a live retreat. So which, episode, I guess, for want of a better word, or which presentation, which day does that happen, and what date and time. The other big part that is happening in this like collection of sheets. So this is all one collection of information. All of the information is here. We just have different fields that are hidden with each view. And then the views allow you to publish certain things to certain locations. So for me, because I'm using my Lovable template, which I will show you in a minute, we're populating all of this information into the Lovable, the site, the summit site that I'm creating. So the big thing that happens when we collect this information is we want it to be populated into our our summit site without having to do too many extra things. And that's what I created with my summit site. Is I have either a whole template which allows you to publish a full funnel through Lovable on your own domain or through the Lovable domain. Or you can also look at here, you can also use the embed. Let's just give it a minute to pull it up. So for the July speakers embed, this page here is all of the speakers as a like with kind of like in the card format. Just waiting for it to reload again. So this can be embedded with this URL and the URL that is relative to the summit page that you're publishing over here. This whole section can be published on your website. So if you are not wanting to use this entire system, this is my version, not the template, but I wanted to show you real things. If you wanted to just use this, you can save a lot of money in this ongoing, because $59 to purchase the template versus $59 a month to use a tool like Softer, which does the same thing. It connects the dots with Airtable, all this information in Airtable, and publishes it into something like this that you can then embed into your page. So, for example, even just this, I'll go here and show you what it looks like in reality. I'll let that load. But you've got so much, opportunity here. Like you've got, the images are already here, they're loaded, and they can, populate over. You don't have to do any copying, pasting. It's all here. And this is just the data, right? I have other collections of data. So all the sales, and this is set up with a webhook, but you could have like a Zapier. I'm not going to show you because there's real stuff on here, but you can have a Zapier Zap that connects the information from your sales checkout into this table. We also have like a setup for contributors, like for bundles instead. So if I was going to create bundles here, this is, the setup for that. And we have some feedback surveys. So this is set up for a bundle, but again, same, like I'm going to replicate this for the summits. So we have the contributor, so like the speaker or the bundle contributor feedback survey, and then the survey from my audience as well, asking them like, why didn't you buy? Or if you did buy, why did you buy, kind of thing. So those are the core kind of like systems that I've created. And then I'll show you through the automations and the forms, but I wanted to really quickly go to, I'm just going to pause. All right, so I wanted to show you what it would look like. This is my website off, like my summit page, sales page, for want of a better word, off site, off this Lovable template, so you can see the difference. And below here, this is the embed form here. So this is just a section which I need to obviously update the HTML for. This is an iframe, and so what happens is this same information is populated into here, and then your site is reflecting, the stuff from your Airtable base that you want to come over. So essentially, this view is what we want to see over here. And the reason this isn't working is probably because I've changed the URL on here and haven't changed it in here, which is something that I definitely did earlier on in the piece as well. So that's kind of like, I guess, the summit setup, like is how the information is collected. I will show you the forms and then I'll come back to automations, because automations is the way it all plays together. So people fill out a form. We have, for example, sorry, let me show you the expression of interest first. This is, I'm going to open this form up. This is how people land on the, like, I want to apply for these summits. So you can just do this as a, one-off. This can be your application rather than expression of interest. But because I said, like, I've got multiple summits, I want to see who wants to apply for multiple. And this information is what goes into, let's come back to it. So that's what comes into the expressions of interest tab here. So everyone that's filled out a form here is populating in here, right? And then I've gone through and the different views of the different ways that I've grouped things and hidden things and stuff like that. Okay, so that's this one, the submission form. Sorry, that's the expression of interest form. And then the submission form is that second stage. When someone has been selected, then we give them access to this form, and I will show the look of that. So this is where you can then search up for your name and connect your record, basically. And so that's what I was saying. A lot of this information is already being provided in the expression of interest, so we don't need it again. And that's why we don't have like, where's your bio? So that we've got a headshot here because we didn't have it in the previous version, but you can kind of flip it around. It depends on what you want to do. Yeah, and then you can see the things that are like required on my end. So required, what's your summit topic? This would be like your description. For me, it's an interview, so I've got questions that I want to ask them. implementation week, and so on and so forth. So this would be like, what's your bundle item, and then that would populate more questions. So we have a drop down that comes up. So you can, do that, and then upload the files. And that's the stuff that kind of comes into the database that you can then use a tool like My Lovable or Softer, if you want to use that instead, to grab this information in the Airtable base and put it straight on your website. So you don't have to, your landing page or whatever. So you don't have to worry about all of that. So yeah, that's how that all looks. And then I want to show you what happens when we go and take all this information. Now, again, because I have multiple summits, there's a lot of different automations, but they're actually just duplications. So we have an expression of interest. When a form is submitted, then I send an email out to them. Let's look at the July version again. So when let's not look at the July version because I turned it off. Let's look at the August version. When a record matches the conditions, expression of interest table, it looks at that, and then it looks for the application, like it's open for a specific event, that one. Then we're going to send them updated URL form. That URL for the form is going to be updated in their record. And then that means they can receive an email. So this is basically saying once that URL has been populated, then for this particular event in this view, then they will receive an email to say, amazing, you're in. And this happens because of, I obviously need to, I'm in August. This happens because the event is open for application. Okay, so that happens, and then so when this happens, then that, and then there's another one which is like when we view that this URL is updated, then we can send this email out to confirm that they've been accepted and what the next steps are. So these automations are probably the biggest reason you would want to go ahead with Airtable, because when you have a form submitted, you can automatically send out a confirmation that it's been received, and then you can, in your data, you can then change statuses, like, certain things will then generate a next trigger. So like changing a status will change like a trigger or act a trigger, sorry, and then an email can go out to say, you're in, here's what you need to do now. And then once you get like a submission received for a particular event, so this is the expression of interest, i.e. the application. And then when we have a submission received, again, when that form has been filled out, that's going to update as status received. And then we have, because the status is received and they're in an event for this one, then they're going to get a specific email as well, which is just, confirming that we've received that submission. There's more things we can do. We can send things through Slack. We can do all sorts of stuff, but this is probably the more simplified version of, main thing is we need to confirm that the submission's been received, confirm that the expression of interest has been received, and confirm that they have next steps, like the things that they need to actually do now. So all of that happens because of forms and the data, going to certain views or certain statuses being changed. In this instance, it's like once a link here has been populated, then an email will go out for that. And it, like, you can capture this URL in the actual email itself. So if I go back to that, let me show you this one. So what happens is we can then populate certain things. So just a reminder that your original pitch said this, and then here is the URL, that file, that field is here. So then people can just click that link and go to the confirmation form, that submission form. So once they've been confirmed, they've got all of that. So yeah, that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of how it all works, and you know, how things can kind of like happen automatically for you once you've set up those automations. So in terms of saving time, which was one of the big questions that Kim had, was like, yeah, like, does it actually save time? And if you're doing things manually, like using a Google form for the applications and submissions, then you're going to need to set up, you know, a few things through Zapier and other places to have the next stages of things happening. And this, like I said before, these automations are fairly straightforward. You could have a whole bunch of other ones going out on certain, you know, changes of statuses based on yeah, where they're at. With when you have like a trigger based on a tick box, you know, you go ahead in the data here, you have like a tick box here, which then allows a you know, something to be triggered, or you can have like a button which then goes to do other things. Like there's so many things you can do, and this is probably like just the simplified version. So yeah, hopefully that has helped connect the dots for you. And this way you don't need to use Kit because you're using Gmail to send out your emails. And that way, you know, you're not adding these, you're not adding the speakers to your subscription system, which could mean that you accidentally send them out emails where you don't want to, because they're not actually your lead, they're your collaborator. So the other thing that I use is Mail Meteor, in order to send out in bulk like mail merge emails. So, you know, like sending out emails to people around the summit and where they're at, where we're up to, and stuff like that. So that's the other way to do things in addition. And so that's really just grabbing this data. You can download the CSV and then putting that into a Google Sheet and using that for sending out these emails through you know, Mail Meteor, which I have another video on how all of that works, which I can send you if you would like to see that as well. But yeah, hopefully that has answered your questions, maybe giving you a little bit of a insight into how other people do this. You know, obviously I've got this template that does a whole range of other stuff as well, which makes things a little bit simpler for you, but Softer is the other one, and Spread Simple is the one you would use if you're wanting to keep with your Google Sheets. So your Google Sheets would allow you to create a website from that in order to do that kind of like preview of information. So that's one, and then Softer is the other one, which I have affiliate links for both, I think, somewhere. So I'll add that to the information below. Geez, it's taking a little while, but this is like a no code website builder. So kind of like this, but not, you don't chat like we do with Lovable. You use like their system to add certain things to it. All right, that's probably enough from me. I could go on for ages on this. So if you have any follow-up questions, let me know. Otherwise, I think that's covered the majority of what you were wanting.